Hi, it's Nick from the Scamp channel again, and today we're going to be replacing the manual tongue jack with an electric one. Woohoo! Let's talk about the tools that you're going to want to have on hand to do this. One thing you're going to want to have is the jack itself. I'll go into more details about this later on in the video, but this is the jack that I used. And then you're going to want to have some terminals. I recommend these for the connection to your battery. You want to get the 10 to 12 gauge ones, and this is the right size. You can pick these up at just about any hardware store, auto parts store. You're going to want to have some butt connectors. This is a butt connector. You're going to need that. You want to use the 10 to 12 gauge one, the yellow one. You can pick up this set at Harbor Freight. They're real inexpensive. I think it was under $6 for all of these. You want some zip ties to secure the wire and stuff to the frame. You're going to want to get yourself a crimping tool and something to strip the wires with, and also a pair of wire cutters to cut off the excess. Your sockets today are going to be a 9/16 inch socket. That's the one that's going to go to the nut that holds the current hitch to the tongue plate. And then you're going to want to have a 1/2 inch socket. You're going to use that to remove the terminal nuts from your battery. You'll want to have some grease. You're going to use that to grease up the star washers that go between the tongue plate and the jack plate. And then I'm going to recommend you have a wire brush and some type of rust preventative enamel paint. I use this black one here. I had it on hand because you'll find that when you remove your old hitch, you're going to have some rust from the paint flaking off your tongue, and this is a good time to go ahead and clean up that rust and then repaint it. And you'll need yourself a pair of gloves to keep your hands nice and soft. This is the jack I currently have on there. It's the one that came from the factory. Some things I don't like about it: boy, it takes a lot of revolutions, a lot of turning to make this thing go up or down. Second thing is, not too long ago in one of the other episodes, you would have seen me repairing a rock strike. Basically came upon a rock in the middle of the road, and it hit this jack, and you can tell that it's kind of slightly bent. Instead of sticking up straight, it's kind of bent that way. So need to replace that. It's got 3 bolts that hold it on, and to remove them, you're going to need a 9/16 inch socket. Now you can see that I've got the trailer hooked up to my tow vehicle. That way I can, remove the jack without it needing to support any weight. But if you didn't have your tow vehicle available, then you could always just use some jack stands underneath the tongue. And there we go. Stick on my hardware over here, and out that comes. All right, so whenever you go to replace a jack, you want to make sure you compare the lift capacity of your new jack to the one that's on your trailer to make sure that you're going to operate it safely. In this case, I'm good to go. Now, it would be a wise idea to block or chock the wheels of your trailer, but since I'm connected to a tow vehicle, it ain't moving. But if you are not using a tow vehicle to support the tongue while you're making the replacement, and you're using maybe jack stands or something similar instead, you definitely want to put something around the wheels to keep that trailer from moving around on you. After you remove the old one, it's going to be a good idea to come in here and start cleaning up any corrosion that you might have. You can see I've got some spot rusting, so I'm going to grab some stuff and take care of that first. And I've noticed I've got a few other little places that have kind of started to rust on the trailer tongue. So since I'm out here doing this anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean off that corrosion as well. And make sure I protect as much as I can. I got to make this little trailer last. All right, so I used that little scrubber here. It's basically just a wire brush to clean off the rust, and I'm going to go back over it with some of this that I have laying around. It's a paint and primer all in one. It's ready for direct to metal, and it's supposed to help inhibit rust, so that's what we're going to be using. All right, give that a little bit to dry. A rock hit this shield a while back. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this and spray it while the tongue is drying. I went with Quick Products model number JQ as in Quebec 3500B as in Bravo electric tongue jack in black. Now I'm going to put a link to this product in the comments. That is a link that will pay me a commission if you use that link to order it off of Amazon. I appreciate it. It'll help me make some beer money. And there she is. All right, looks like we've got a switch. That's probably a cover. Star washers and wiring attached. Let's get this thing installed. All right, let's get the specifics here. It has a maximum lift capacity of 3,650 pounds. It can maximum height of 32 inches and it can travel 18 inches vertically. It's powered by 12 volt DC. The outer tube diameter is 2 1/4 inch, which seems to be the same size as the one we took off. And then the power cord is 6 feet of number 10 gauge wire, and it's got a foot pad that measures 5.5 inches across the diameter, and then the weight of this thing is about 23 pounds. Now here it is in relationship to the old one, so you can see it's going to sit up a little bit higher on the Scamp than the old one, but that shouldn't be a problem. Let's see, so it comes with this jack, which is the Juliet Quebec 3500, a weatherproof cover, the manual override crank, which is found outside the styrofoam packaging. I'll find that. A fuse holder, and these instructions. Paint's about dry, so time for me to get these little star washers off. So they're going to go on first. Now, the star washers are going to go between the tongue and the bottom of the plate. So they're going to basically go around these holes here. But it's a good idea to go ahead and grease them up to help prevent corrosion while they're down there. I'm just going to go with what I got, which is some high temperature disc brake wheel bearing grease. I'm just going to dip the little star washers down in there and smear it all over them and then stick them on those holes. All right, got the star washers in place. Now it's time to put this in. First thing I'm going to want to do is take off this plate. It won't fit through the hole on the hitch. Without it. Let's see. And then when you position this, you want to position it with the motor facing forward. There we go. Just like so, motor facing forward. One potential downside to having this sucker is that it's going to interfere with the operation of my rear hatch in a way that the other one did not. If I go ahead and try to open this, you're going to see that it would hit it if I didn't stop it. So I have to be real careful with that. So as I think more about it, I think I'm going to try to mount this with the motor facing to the rear. That way I can have clearance of my hatch and not have to worry about it striking this thing. So basically I'm just going to rotate it like so. And then that way my rear hatch can go up and down without hitting it. Turns out the only way you can mount this is with the motor facing forward because of the pattern of the opening in the bolt holes. If you try to put it in any other position, these holes do not line up. So I'll just have to be careful with my hatch. Yeah, I'll admit to being a little disappointed that I couldn't orientate this thing so that the motor is facing rearward or at an angle, but it's just not designed that way. Anyhow, got everything lined up, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten back down the hardware. It says that you need to tighten this hardware to 15 to 20 foot-pounds. And it'd probably be a good idea, you know, to check on these periodically to make sure that they're snug and secure, because it seems like it's likely to wiggle loose being so top heavy as it is now. It's going to be a a lot of wiggling as you go down the road. So come back every now and then and check these. Doesn't take but a second. I went ahead and touched up the bolts that I had scratched the paint off of when I took them off with new paint. And I've touched up just about every little spot I could find on the tongue to kind of get it looking nice again and prevent corrosion. All right, so I'm on the opposite side of it now. And what I'm going to do is run my wire down through here. I'm going to kind of follow this trailer brake wire. And it's going to go up underneath along the frame, and it's going to come up right next to the battery. And then I'll connect it to the battery. Now from the factory, it doesn't have any type of terminals on the end, so I'm going to have to put some on. And the ones I'm going to use are these. I'm just going to crimp them onto the ends, and then I'll slide them over the positive and negative of the battery. So the negative wire is pretty easy. You're just going to crimp on a terminal there. On the positive, you need to splice in this fuse. So on the fuse controller, it's going to have a line and a load. So those are going to be pretty important in determining which end hooks to what. And I'll go over that with you right now. So the side that's marked load connects to the black wire. And the side that says line connects directly to the positive battery terminal. I'm going to recommend that you guys grab one of these terminal and connector assortments from Harbor Freight. They have different sizes. The one that we're going to be using is this 1210 AWG. And I'm just going to be using this little butt connector to tie in the wires to each other. The first thing I'm going to do is just put one end of the butt connector on the black wire. And then I'm going to put the other end of the butt connector on the this red wire from the fuse. Now, honestly, any pair of pliers will work, but I've got this generic set of crimpers. It's kind of a multi-tool, and up here is where you can use the crimping. Using this helps you not over crimp it, because you could actually cut that thing right in half if you squeeze too hard. So you see how it has like the 1210. Well, that corresponds with the kind of wire we're using and the type of butt connector we're using, and the yellow is the same as the connector. In fact, if we use, like I've already put this little terminal on the end, you can see it's yellow as well, and I use that to crimp on that one. So let's get it done. Okay, so when it's done, it ought to look something like this. Black wire going to the load side, and the line side has a terminal on the end, so does the negative. Now I just need to connect it to the terminals on the battery. Okay, got the white wire going to negative, red wire going through the fuse into the positive. All right, I'm going to take you up underneath the trailer with me so you can see how I did the wires. See, this wire right here is the one that goes to your, plugs into your car, your tow vehicle. And I just am going to put this wire for the jack just alongside it, and then I'll just zip tie it all together. All right, you can see I got my zip tie there, my zip tie here, keeping it nice together. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the free end. Now, I had some extra cord. Rather than, you know, cut through this protective shielding and then shorten the wires and get all right, I just made a loop and gave myself a little bit of extra slack. So I'm just going to go ahead and use zip ties to kind of secure this loop to the frame. You know those star washers that we put in, remember them? Their purpose was to ground this jack to the frame. So currently the jack is grounded through the trailer at the star washers. But you know, corrosion might eventually prevent a proper connection. So you can avoid losing that connection by going ahead and routing that white wire directly to your negative battery cable like we did. All right, now I can go ahead and put the foot of the jack back on. I like that it has these, the ability to go ahead and drop this down close to the ground before you use the jack. All right, with the little foot all the way down and my ball lock disengaged and all my chains and emergency brake controller and trailer wire disconnected, I'm just going to go ahead and lift it on up. Yeah, it's a lot easier than cranking. I like it. This is the little cover that came with it. It has a drawstring with a little cinch mechanism on there. So I reckon it just slides on like so. And then you draw it tight and cinch it up. And that's the way it looks when it's on. All right, before I close this video, I want to go over some important operating notes and warnings. One, you don't ever want to attempt to stack blocks underneath the jack's foot. That won't safely increase the height of the jack. You never want to, retract the jack past its stop limiting mark, which is right here. So you never want it to go all the way up into here past that little sticker. If you do, damage to the jack will probably occur. Before you drive, you always want to retract the jack and remove the foot or raise it to its highest position before you take off. And then you never want to insert the manual, I guess it's the manual jack operation lever, which goes up in the top, with it still connected to a power source. You want to disconnect the power source before using the manual jack handle. Now, under heavy use, the motor might switch off and the circuit breaker might open. The circuit breaker will automatically reset in 15 to 30 seconds. Release the operating switch and wait for the circuit breaker to reset and then resume using it. In case of power loss, you want to disconnect the jack from the power source, remove the round plastic cap on top of this motor. Show you where that is. This, and then down inside there, you're going to find where you put your jack handle. It just fits on top of there. I don't want to go ahead and demonstrate it because I'd have to disconnect it from the power, and I've already got my battery all sealed up. So anyways, you'd remove that cap. You would insert the manual crank and then rotate it to extend it or retract it. And the little light here comes on for when you're doing night hookups down here. Kind of give you an extra little light. Mine has this nice LED light on the front too, so this will just be supplementary. And that's it. Well, thanks for sticking around while I put that sucker on. I appreciate your support of this channel. Please subscribe. It only takes a second. And like the video. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or comments or even complaints, and I'll try to get back to you. See you around.